Hey guys, in this video, let's discuss how clipless pedals make us faster. How does clipless pedals make us faster? And, usually we're always worried about how we can generate more power out of the gate physically, but let's discuss the ways we could do it through equipment. All right? Coming up. All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the show, BMX Coach Live, where I help you guys improve physically, emotionally, mentally, and help you guys win more races. I'm your host, Greg Romero. Welcome to the show. I am super pumped. It's funny. I actually thought I started the video 10 minutes ago, so I have my streaming equipment right here in front of me, and then I hit go on the computer, and then over here I saw that I had a preview of my stream. I have another computer right here where I actually monitor the YouTube stream, and I did not hit go live. So I actually talked for 10 minutes. It's pretty funny. And then I looked over. I'm like, how come no one is engaging? What's going on? And so, didn't hit go. But everything's going really well. Stream looks good. I'm recording this stream and everything's looking good. So again, guys, I'm super pumped. Welcome to the show. It's good afternoon here from San Diego, and if you're on the East Coast, good evening. If you're in Australia, good morning, and if you're in Europe, you're probably sleeping. And if you're watching this replay, make sure you guys join in and leave some comments, and I'll engage. I usually engage after we make this video permanent on YouTube, and I am super grateful for the opportunity to engage with you and also to grow this community, especially on YouTube. I'm super pumped. This is episode number 6, I believe, and we're doing pretty well with it, and I'm having a lot of fun. And so earlier today I was in the gym. I have a gym. I'm fortunate enough to have strength training equipment. I have a squat rack, barbells, and some dumbbells and loose weights and whatnot. And I still train. I don't race a whole lot. In fact, I pretty much made a decision. I've retired. So, so I still do train, and I love training, and it's fun. And when it comes to these live shows, I don't do a whole lot of preparation. I do things extemporaneously, which means presenting without preparation. And now that's not an insult to you guys. It's just that, if I were to script things out, it would feel too rigid. And I like to be in the flow and very flexible and be able to interact with you guys. So again, thank you guys so much for showing up. And if we haven't met, I am Greg Romero, and I'm your coach here on BMX Coach Live. Anyways, I was in the gym doing a little bit of strength training before we went live on this show. And I started looking around. I looked at some of my bikes, looking at equipment, and I'm always thinking about you guys and how you guys want to improve. And one of the things I wanted to discuss was clipless pedals. And one of the questions that came up a few weeks ago within our community here on YouTube was, hey, how does cleat position affect our power? So guess what? I have a clipless shoe. This is actually my personal shoe. This is a Specialized S-Works, very light. It's a mountain bike shoe. I actually used this at the 2017 UCI World Championship, so they did see the dirt in Rock Hill. And we're going to talk about cleat position and how that affects our power in terms of coming out of the gate, and as well as acceleration. We'll talk about torque and efficiency and whatnot, and what my thoughts are. And of course, I wanted to discuss how clips actually make you faster. And so there's no debate about it. This isn't going to be a clips versus flats debate, or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe if you guys want to debate, have at it. I'm open to anything, really, truly. And, on this show, anything goes. But I really want to discuss, in my opinion, actually, why does clips actually make you faster? So, when I come up with these shows, it's really fun. Again, it's so interacting, and I love the community. And also, I want to remind you guys, thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing. I'm seeing a big influx of subscribers coming in, and make sure you guys hit the notification so that way you guys get the email on when I go live. And I'm also thinking about posting a couple more videos in the middle of the week. We're definitely dedicated to doing the 5:30 show on Mondays. And so thank you so much for showing up and supporting that. And also, if you guys want to continuously support this show, you guys could donate. We have the super chat open, and you guys can actually donate money towards the super chat, towards our channel. And the good news, I'm going to match every and any single donation that you guys make. And I'm going to take that money every month and we're going to donate it to a local BMX community. I haven't made a decision. I've thought about different communities that I can donate to. However, I haven't come up with a concrete decision. And I think I'm going to change every month who I'm going to donate to. So if you guys have any ideas, feel free to share those. And also, if you guys donate to the super chat, make sure you guys ask a question, and I'll definitely for sure answer your questions. When you donate money, it actually highlights that you donated money, and if you ask a question, it'll show that you donated. And so I'll do my best. Again, tons of you guys ask so many different questions at the end of the show while we do the Ask Coach G segment. So I'll definitely get to your question if you donate towards the super chat. Again, thank you guys so much for joining. And yeah, we have a couple what's up. We have Paul. Paul says, what's up? Hey, what's up, man? How you guys doing? Yeah, so if you guys are just joining in now, thank you so much. We're going to discuss how does clips actually make you faster? So should we just get right into it? Let me get a drink of water. Cool. Everything looks good. Now, when it comes to clipless pedals, this is what I'm thinking. And I'm, please forgive me if you don't understand my model of the world. I have raced on flat pedals probably 75% of my career. So I do have a great idea what it was like to actually race flat pedals as a kid, coming up through the amateur ranks, and then going through the phase where I was actually forced. That's right. I was forced to actually get on clipless pedals. I was actually one of the last guys in the year 2000 that actually held out on clipping in. And, you know, I have to admit, maybe perhaps I just wasn't emotionally, I didn't have behavior flexibility like I do today, right? Like today, I kind of, you know, I have emotional flexibility. So, and it's healthier that way, right? And so, but I was really rigid, and I didn't feel like changing equipment. I felt really strong. I didn't feel like there was a need. And, you know, I actually was like the last guy. It was a race in Bakersfield. It was a pro race, I don't know what year, 2000. And the pro class was stacked. And everyone that made the main had clipless pedals on except for me. And so I kind of had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, like, oh man, I need to try to beat some of these guys. And it turned out to be kind of a negative motivator in a way. It wasn't really a positive motivator. I didn't do too well because, you know, I think guys were like trying to rough me in the turns and whatnot. I was very vocal back then, and I was making a big deal that, hey man, like if you guys beat me, if I win on flat pedals, then it's like you guys need to change back to flat pedals. Well, that didn't happen. So I was forced to change and adapt, and it's all good because I discovered the many benefits of clipping in. And you know, for me, I've had some accidents on the bike. I actually have a scar right here on my lip and on my face when I was racing with flat pedals, and I actually slipped my pedal right before a jump going in the first turn, going really, really fast. And I slipped the pedal, and I hit the jump with no feet on the pedals, and I was so out of control that I landed straight on my face. It was like bam, and I got knocked out. And you know, in hindsight, if I would have had clipless pedals, I wouldn't have slipped the pedal, and I would be fine, right? Like, so there are some awesome benefits that I saw immediately when I started clipping in. So let's discuss, you know, in my opinion, if you guys have any opinions on why clips make you faster, please share them in the comments below. In my opinion, listen, when you clip in, one of the things that I immediately noticed, because I'm very kinesthetic, and I noticed this right away when I clipped in, was I didn't have to worry about slipping my pedal. I didn't have to unconsciously or consciously, but more or less unconsciously worry about my foot being attached to the pedal. And so not having to worry about that allowed me to get more out of the triple extension of the pedal stroke. Now, what's the triple extension? What does that mean, Greg? You may ask. And basically, the triple extension is an extension of your ankle joint, knee joint, and hip joint surrounding muscles. So, my eyes are dry. Excuse me. Oh, gosh. So, when you're clipped in, you could focus on the discharge of power when it comes to the triple extension, as opposed to if you had flat pedals on, you wouldn't be able to fully dedicate all the power on the triple extension. You would have to also unconsciously engage the lateral and medial muscles of the thigh to keep the foot on from going, slipping off laterally. So, from doing this one, right? So kind of doing that one. And of course you got this one as well. But for me, I always felt like I needed to use more muscles just to keep my foot on from slipping side to side. And you may think, oh, well, that's kind of weird. I don't do that. But the bottom line is, I did definitely, I felt the difference on those muscle groups. So the inner and outer thigh. So the inner thigh is the adductor and the outer thigh is the abductor. The inner thigh adductor is basically your inner thigh muscle, and the abductor is your glute medius. Now, if the glute medius doesn't have to work as hard, then I felt like there wasn't as much inhibition in the discharge and engagement of the glute maximus, which is pretty much the strongest muscle in the lower body. The hip muscle is the glute maximus is the strongest muscle. So without having to worry about pedal slipping, I felt like I could just give it my all. And that was one of the things that I noticed. And of course, there was some efficiency to doing that. And then of course, there's also this belief about the upstroke. Now, I think with younger riders at slower cadences, there can be an upstroke event. An upstroke effect. But I think when you're an older guy and you're pedaling at higher cadences, listen, who has time to think about the upstroke? So that's not to say that it's not there. The pedal, your foot being attached, there's going to be less latency in terms of getting over and on top of the gear, especially around that weird position of like 1 and 7 o'clock. So so like here's 1 o'clock on the top stroke, and here's 7 o'clock on the downstroke. So as the foot's coming up, there isn't going to be much of, you're not going to have that forward aft slippage, if you will. You're not going to be doing this one. It's just your foot's just coming around, the pedal's just following it. So I'm not going to get in a debate if there's an upstroke effect or not. I'm just saying that there's not going to be a fore aft slippage, if you will. So you don't have to worry about that. So therefore, it does make it less latency. There's going to be less hesitation, and less hesitation means you're going to have a more smoother pedal stroke. The smoother it is, the more effective it is. So those are pretty much the two reasons as to why I believe clips actually made me faster. And please share in the comments below, whether you're watching a replay or you're live. Let me know what your thoughts on how clips made you faster. Now, I know next year it seems like worldwide, especially here in America, 12 and under. If someone can correct me if I'm wrong, please do. It seems like it's going to be 12 and under flat pedals across the board. Is that correct? Let me know. Yeah, interesting stuff, right? Cool. So let's keep moving on. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask the questions. And also, if you guys have the opportunity to participate in the super chat, that would be awesome. Great. Paul over here says, I joined your website. I would presuppose he's talking about BMX Training Pro, the membership website. Yeah, thank you, Paul. I'm grateful for you to join the website. Thank you so much. I hope that you find that it's definitely beneficial, and there's a lot of stuff in there that will help you get faster and help your acceleration out of the gate. That seems to be the theme here, talking about clipless pedals and flat pedals. But Paul says 13 and under. Yeah, I don't know what that means, man. Let me know what that means. Cool. So what else do we got? Oh, we're going to discuss cleat position. How about that? Cleat position. This was something that came up. And let's see, I have a shoe with a cleat and a shoe without a cleat. And as you can see here, see how this kind of moves, right? And there's two holes there. So you could put the cleats up there and, move them really, really forward, or you could put the cleats down here and pull them way, way back. So there's lots of adjustability here. And I have a similar shoe. So I actually practiced on this shoe, and then I pulled a BMX dad move and decided I needed to get lighter shoes. Actually, I went to the bike shop and I was looking at other shoes, and I came across, this is a Specialized shoe, and I love Specialized just for the form fit, and I love them for road racing, for road biking. I love their road shoe, and fell in love with it because I have a really wide foot. And long story short, I enjoyed checking out the Specialized shoe when I was getting back into BMX, and then I decided to geek out a little bit and go with the S-Works version, the high-end version of their mountain bike shoe, and really nice. Got a carbon fiber bottom, and the upper and the lower tops and bottoms here of this shoe is pretty much replicates the same material, same look really of my road shoe. So I went with these, and they're a lot lighter. Anyways, this is actually the shoe that I raced with last. I actually raced the shoe at the 2017 World Championships, and you can see where my cleat position is. And see that? Okay, so let's discuss cleat position. And I've tried many different cleat positions, and so let's discuss that as well. That was actually going to be my original topic that we were going to discuss. So I think there's definitely a benefit. There's definitely a sweet spot when it comes to your cleat position for those that do clip in. And please forgive me for, if you're watching this video after 2020 and you're here in America and you can no longer clip in, please forgive me. But we will discuss flat pedal position. Okay, just imagine this is a flat pedal shoe. I don't have a flat shoe in here, but we'll also discuss, position, right, in terms of foot placement on a flat pedal as well. So we'll definitely get to everybody here, but cleat position. So here's the thing. This is a great topic, and I love this topic because I get asked all the time, and a lot of my riders always ask me, especially my Olympic guys, it's like cleat position. It's like, yes, let's talk about it. So when I first clipped in, I actually took my cleats and I put them on the forward one, and I ramped them up all the way forward, and I was really on my tippy toes, and I thought it felt good. It didn't matter. I mean, it felt fast anyways compared to my flat pedals, but I later learned that I was a little bit too far forward, and I felt like I was really on my quads, right? Like I was accessing a lot of quads and less glute. And so I actually went with the opposite. I'm really good like that. I like testing out the extremes on my own and then try to find that happy medium. It's kind of like the old porridge, right? Not too cold, not too hot, just right. So I found for me just right was being somewhere on the ball of the foot. So but I digress. Let's keep moving forward. I also have placed the cleats at the bottom here and pull them all the way back. And that felt really engaging in terms of like accessing my glutes, which again, if you're just joining us, about 5-10 minutes ago, we discussed that in the lower body, the glute maximus is actually the strongest muscle. So we want to engage that. We want to utilize that, right? However, when I pulled the cleats all the way to the bottom, I was really, I'm kind of exaggerating here, but basically it felt like, I went from here and then it was like, I felt like I was in the middle of the hill. So this engaged a lot of glutes for me. It felt awesome. However, I didn't feel like I had any control of the bike. it was really weird. Like my body positioning was like, how do I say this? I felt like there was a lot of bike in front of me. It felt like it just kind of like pushed the bike in front of me in a way. I don't know. It was awkward. I didn't feel like side to side on my bike. I didn't really feel stable. It was really awkward for me. And maybe some of you guys have found that when you guys extremely pulled your cleats back. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried that. I'd love to know if you experienced the same thing. Didn't feel like it felt awesome, but I didn't feel like I had any lateral stability. It was really weird. So I went back and I switched it up, and I run mine just behind the middle. That seems to be where I was running them. These ones are just slightly behind the middle by about a millimeter. So I would say, if this was tippy toe, this was the heel, then I'm more like right there on the ball of the foot. I hope that makes sense. Obviously, this is a flat pedal, but this is just for a visual reference for you guys. And so I really like that because I didn't feel like I was overusing my quads. I definitely felt like I was able to access my glutes, which was really nice. And I felt like I had good stability, and control on the bike, going into turns, pedaling over jumps, manually jumping, etc. And so what's important about pulling the cleats back just a little bit past the ball of the foot? Now, trust me, this is just a preference. I think I had this discussion with Donnie Robinson. Again, that's about middle right there. Yeah, that's about middle. That's where the cleats are, right over the axle. Okay. Again, so this would be more like toe, and this would be more like a lot more heel engagement. Now, I would say you definitely want to be to where you're in the middle to just a little bit further back. And the reason being, and I discussed this with one of my Olympic athletes. I said, here's the reason being that we're going to get more power by pulling the cleat back just a hair, and that way the ball of the foot is, the axle is just behind the ball of the foot. Okay, hey, that's the one. That's the reference. Axle just a tad bit behind the ball of the foot. We're still on top of the ball of the foot, but we're just tad behind, right? We're just favoring it just a little bit behind. And the reason, I'm getting dirt all over my computer here. The reason why that was beneficial, I explained to him, like if you were to take a solid object, say like a tree, okay? And if you were to try to kick it with your toes, you're going to be flexing through, and look where my arm, look what my arm is compared to, we'll just call this a tree trunk, if you will. Okay, I'm going to be trying to like generate power through the toes, and there's going to be a lot of flexibility. Now, if I were to go straight through my palm, look at how much over, I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, there we go. Look at how much, look at how my shoulder and my elbow joint is straight through, as opposed to doing that. Does that make sense? You guys kind of get that visual there. So here's my toes, right? And then here is my heel, my foot. I'm going to have more power, more torque, more force driving through the heel, either through my hand if I was going to hit somebody, or if I was going to drive through my heel and try to like, chop down a tree, if you will, or try to kick a tree over, right? If I were to hit it with my toes, it's gonna be flexy. If I drive through my heel, we're gonna get more power because we're gonna have more leverage, right? Be more bone structure, and also we're gonna be able to engage our glutes a little bit more. And that's the whole idea about just behind the ball of the foot, is to benefit from the glutes a little bit more, engage those glutes. If we were to be on our toes on our pedals, we're not going to be accessing those glutes, okay? We're going to be all in the quads. All right, well, I hope that makes sense. That was a lot of fun. Looks like we have a few questions coming in, and we're doing really well here on time. So, I tell you what, man, I really need to go to the restroom. Um, Share some thoughts with me in terms of cleat position. I'm here. Share with us, share with me, but share with our community here. You guys here that are live, share with our community what your thoughts are in terms of cleat position. What has benefited you? What's helped? What didn't help? Let me know what you guys learned, and I'll be right back, and we'll discuss, and we'll go through some questions and answer them here right after the break. Hey guys, I have a question. What would it do for you if you could enhance your power out of the gate, enhance your sprint speed down the first straight, enhance your skills, enhance your mental performance mind state? What would that do for your racing or your kids' racing? If you're seeing the value of enhancing your BMX performance, consider joining the community of BMX Training Pro and get the same access my Olympic athletes have enjoyed, as well as thousands of BMXers all over the world. Some members use the access to improve their gate start techniques. Some also use the access to keep them motivated to train, and you'll find your reason when you gain access and join BMX Training Pro today.
Stay focused, get ready now. For real, get ready now.
Nitro with the nice flow.
Stay focused, get ready now. For real, get ready now. Let's go. Stay focused, here the heat come. Concentrate to the sound of the beat drum. Yeah. Start it up, take it back now. Check it out. This is how it's going down. Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to the show. This is the Ask Coach G section where you guys ask your best questions as it pertains to BMX racing training and performance, and I'll do my best to get to most of your questions. I think we're running at 6:06. I can go till about 6:30, and then I need to eat dinner. And there's also some cool sports happening. There's Monday Night Football and also the NHL Stanley Cup. Oh man, I love ice hockey. If you guys didn't know me, I'm an absolute fan of ice hockey. I actually played 5 years adult league hockey. Believe it or not, I learned how to skate, and then once I learned how to skate, I actually hired a skating coach. Best thing I ever did. When and I don't mean this as a knock to some of the stuff I teach on YouTube, but when I hired my skating coach, it was a girl, and she was awesome. She told me, hey, listen, she goes, everything you learned on YouTube as it pertains to ice skating, she goes, unlearn that, forget it, let's start over. And she was great. And so she taught me how to skate, and then she taught me stick handling skills, and I went on to play 5 years of adult league hockey. It was a lot of fun. I love the camaraderie of being on a team in BMX. It's not really a team sport, right? It's not like you're passing a ball or you're handing off a ball and running through, you know what I mean? Like you're not blocking for somebody. It's to each his own in BMX. But anyways, yeah, so I want to check out some of the NHL Stanley Cup finals tonight. It's the Dallas Stars versus the Tampa Bay Lightning, and Dallas is up. My team is the Pittsburgh Penguins. My significant other is from Pittsburgh, and so naturally I pretty much acquired the Pittsburgh Penguins since 2005 we were watching, or 2006 we were watching, and my very first hockey game was actually in Pittsburgh, an NHL hockey game that I attended. Anyways, couple guys in the chat. Devin Kelly, welcome to the show. Camden Frank has a couple comments. Ethan Hagen, JFT Performance. Guys, welcome to the show over here on BMX Coach Live, especially the Ask Coach G section. We were just talking about, if you're just joining now, we were talking about cleat position as it pertains to clipless pedals, and also, same thing applies to the flat pedals. And then, of course, in the beginning of the show, we talked about how clipless pedals make you faster. And so if you're just now joining, let's see here. We have a few comments, and Ethan Hagen says, could you talk about aggressive riding? Because at the last few nationals, I've gone to feel like I'm getting pushed around. Ooh, getting pushed around. how do you know you're getting pushed around? Are you physically just getting pushed in the corners? Are you getting your elbows out? Listen, I used to tell, I'm not going to say their name, but Olympic caliber athlete, and I would say, hey, you know what, man? You got to give a hit before you give the hit rather than receive the hit, right? You have to establish yourself in the corners, man. Like, presupposing, you're getting pushed around. Now, if you're getting pushed around the first straight, that's where more power, more speed, getting out of the gate on time, and if you can get out in front of everybody, then you kind of control your destiny in terms of what line you can choose on any straight and also on the track. In the corners, if you're getting pushed around the corners, then there's a couple things that you need to do. You need to get more confident in your turning skills and like how much you can actually lean the bike over in the corner, getting more confident in terms of understanding your traction in the corner, because you want to be able to take tighter radius lines if you're passing somebody or if someone's trying to pass you on the outside. You might want to take that corner a little bit tighter. So understand that better turning skills and also understanding your traction and tire adhesiveness capabilities in the corner. So that's not only skills, but also tire selection and tire pressure. But we don't need to get into all that. You're talking about getting bumped around. So I think it's a mentality thing, man. BMX is a contact sport. Now, it's not necessarily football. We're not tackling each other. Don't get me wrong. The USA BMX Grands is coming up in a couple months, and you're going to see people just punting people in the corners. It's just what they do, Someone's in the hunt for a number one title. The guy in second doesn't want to see him win, not on his watch, and he's going to hate on the dude and take some crazy line and basically take both of them out of the race. That happens, okay? So there is some super overly aggressive riding that happens, but you have to understand, at the end of the day, rubbing is racing. It's so cliche, but it is. I mean, you have to be able to configure what contact actually means to you. Just because someone touches you doesn't mean they're trying to threaten you or harm you. Now, if you don't get me wrong, some people, I've coached a lot of different athletes. Some of the best athletes are the smoothest, the fastest, and you get near them and they just kind of check up without even physically getting touched. They just kind of flinch, and it's like, dude, put your elbow out, start feeling them as you get in the corner. So you have to get used to having contact going into corners. Now, of course, if you're going over jumps, contact is, you have to be able to touch someone in the air and not let that freak you out. So everyone's model of the world in terms of what contact means is different, right? Like, I've had athletes that have emotional and mental baggage around contact because they've had a crash where, they got together on the first straight and they fell, and unconsciously they labeled that like, oh, if I touch somebody, I'm going to fall, and if I fall, I'm going to get hurt. So therefore, when they get on the track, they don't want to make any contact because they feel like that contact means getting hurt. And I can't blame them. That's the unconscious mind is awesome in the way we label events. So you have to figure out and reconfigure what your unconscious meaning of what contact and aggressive riding means. Now, if you don't have any baggage about it, then so be it. Then do some figure eight turns with another partner and get used to making contact with each other with your elbows. If you're having issues with contact out of the gate, we get a lot of that, right? Like kids, they shut down as soon as their elbows get touched or handlebars touch another rider. They just kind of back off. They flinch for a split second. And once they flinch, then it's over, right? You flinch, it's over. And when I mean it's over, I mean the other rider is moved ahead. And that rider has conceded of letting the rider move ahead. For some of you parents that have these younger riders that have the tendency of backing off out of the gate, listen, you could when they're doing sprints in a bicycle friendly parking lot, line up next to them and pretend like you're in a lane next to them. Put your hands out, put your elbows out, and just say something like ready, set, go, and take off with them for the first 2 pedal strokes. Just run with them and kind of touch their elbow a little bit and get them used to having contact out of the gate. Now, I know this is probably not helping out Ethan here, but Ethan, you got to tell me more, man. Tell me, what does pushing or getting pushed around mean to you? Cool. Thank you very much. I love that. All right, let's see what other questions we have. Let's see here. Eric Rowe, Reaux is your last name, so I would presuppose that means Eric Rowe. If I mispronounce that, please forgive me, Eric. He says, Eric says, Coach G, I noticed that when my son comes out of the gate, he is swerving from side to side. I feel like he is losing speed when he does this. How can I get him to stop doing this? Well, I think naturally our bikes are going to go side to side, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because it's part of Newton's third law. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. And in this case, like if you're going down, you know, if you're pedaling on the left side, then what's happening is that the bike is want to naturally get pulled to that side. So we tend to overcompensate with the upper body, right, and pull on that side. So we're doing this. Now, if you mean side to side where his wheels are doing this, then certainly we can correct that, right? Because he's probably going like, 1.5 feet to cover 1 foot, if you will, right? Like, so it just depends on what he's doing. How young is he? If he's 5, 6 years old and he's doing that, that seems to be a natural thing. Now, what you could do is practice sprint training and try to get him to keep the bike as straight as possible to work on efficiency. But it's funny, I've done with some of us older riders, we actually put a power meter on our bike, and we did sprints to where we deliberately tried to keep the bike straight. And then we also did our natural thing of letting the bike go side to side. And actually both power and time, naturally letting the bike go side to side was actually faster, believe it or not. So it just depends. I mean, it depends. If he's really young and he's really swerving, then, another thing too also is working on the core. If the rider can work on the core strength, then that's actually going to be able to get him to overcompensate quicker. Now the bike might go side to side even quicker, and that's not a bad thing. He's going to be going faster, but keep that in mind. I've actually done some test. Now I wouldn't call this a study. Okay, I just found it amongst a small group of my riders, Olympic caliber riders, where if we tried to keep the bike straight, the times were actually slower. Okay, so there's something to consider. All right, back to Ethan. Ethan was talking about being pushed around at nationals. Not in the corner, but the jump before the corner. Yeah, I mean, it's a fight for position going into a corner. So, you have to work on your speed, man, and try to get out in front of the guys that are moving over on you. But it's totally natural for riders to be cutting across jumps, especially at the national level going into a first turn, man. There's no friends out there, man. So got to get faster, Ethan. Get out in front of some of these riders and you start controlling your own destiny, man. Let's see here. David Red. I'm still not using clips in BMX bike, but for mountain bike, yes. I don't feel comfortable now. Hey, great comment. Yeah, you know what? That's great. It's funny. I felt comfortable riding clips on the BMX, but when I rode mountain bikes like single track and a little bit of slight downhill, I actually felt more comfortable on flats. I couldn't get out of the clips fast enough, and I remember going over a cliff. And luckily, I didn't go too far down and I didn't get hurt, but it was scary. And Yeah, I was clipped in and I was like, nope, no more of this. I'm definitely running flats if I'm going to be mountain biking with my friends. But I don't blame you, man. So, you know, when it comes to BMX, you don't necessarily, especially at the amateur level, if you're not racing at the national level, you don't need to necessarily race with clips. I would definitely consider racing with flats first and get used to and develop your skills as far as jumping and manualing and turning. You're going to learn a lot faster because you're not going to have that worry of being attached to the bike when you do get squirrely, because we do get squirrely. We do get out of shape. We get out of control. And so, flat pedals, it kind of gives us a safety valve to just let go of the bike, as opposed to if you're new on clips and there's going to be a little bit of a hesitancy when it comes to advanced skills, and you're going to hold back because it's like, oh man, what would happen if I crash and I'm clipped in? And you know what, that thought is real. Now, if you were to master your skills on flat pedals and you transfer over, if you decide to give it a go, again, when I clipped in the beginning of this video, I spoke about how I was actually one of the last guys to actually clip in. I wasn't flexible from a behavioral standpoint. I was really rigid, and everything was fine. Nothing was broken of me being riding on flat pedals. And it just got to the point where I was actually forced to clip in, but that was at the highest level of BMX. So please forgive me if you're not performing at the highest level of BMX, and you can make up more in terms of that small gain of being clipped in other areas of being more fitter, stronger, better with your skills, more confident on the bike, and have that emotional stability of not having to worry about letting go of the bike being clipped in. Because I've done like half back flips on being clipped in. Like I hit a pro jump and I'm like, whoa, I hit it funky, and it's like, dude, I need to let go of the bike, and I'm like, whoa, I just let go of the handlebars, but my feet are still attached, and I've done a half backflip and landed on my back, man. And it's not cool. I'm not trying to scare you, but yeah, I don't blame you if you don't feel like trying clips. It's okay, man. I forgive you. Please forgive me too. All right, let's see here. Oh, back to Eric Rowe in terms of the swerving. He says when he's swerving out of the gate, his tires are going sides. I think a little too much. It's going to side. Yeah, if you think it's going a little bit too much, maybe ask a local expert or the local coach and find out what their opinions are. Again, I found that letting the rider actually have the natural left to right lateral sway was actually faster for us. So again, there's definitely some benefit to the Newtonian's third law, that for every action there's an opposite equal reaction. If you try to inhibit that opposite reaction, you're kind of fighting against Newton's law, and you don't want to do that, man. But definitely you want to find out through a local, set up some timers, man. Eric, set up some timers and see if he deliberately keeps the bike straight, is it faster? Okay? Because if it's not, then let him do his thing. Jacob James, welcome back to the show, Jacob. I see you every week. Thank you so much for joining the community here. He says here, Greg, could you please explain the fundamentals of the bike throw? I'm at Cactus Park now practicing them, and I feel really awkward and loopy. Thank you. Okay, yeah. So just focus on pushing the hips back as if you're doing a manual, and definitely just throw your hands so they're super extended. That's the key. Hips back, arms pushed all the way through the palms, elbows extended out. So it's a push back and push forward, if you will. Push the hips back, palms forward. Good question. That's a good one. And you're going to need to tuck that head. So boom, it's going to be that one. Your eyes are going to be like looking down at the ground. You're going to be looking at your bottom bracket when you do that, or your seat, okay, to get that bike throw, and work on timing that. Now, you know what, man? I think that's a good habit to have, even if if you're Jacob, if you're racing locally, and this isn't a bad habit. I think that if riders can actually practice that bike throw at the line, even if it's just like they're just coasting through, if they're just doing gates and you have to ride the whole track and you're coasting through, make it an unconscious habit. Master that. Make it a habit of pushing through, and do it every time you race and every time you practice. Why not? Because you never know when that skill is going to come in hand. I remember in road racing, I used to do a lot of road racing. I don't do it anymore. I do a lot of group riding. There's a lot of riders that actually didn't know how to do the bike throw of pushing through and trying to get that 1 or 2 inch at the line. And it's even harder on a road bike, but on a BMX bike, it's pretty easy. So my point is that you want to make sure that you have that skill and not have to need it, rather than to need it and not know how to do it. So definitely practice that. Thank you so much, Jacob, man. I would say that's probably the biggest contribution here in terms of our community learning from others. Thank you so much, man. That's what it's all about. All right, 6:26. I got about 4 more minutes, and then I'm going to take off here. Let's see if we could find another good question. Jean-Philippe Belanger, welcome to the show, man. He says, good subject. I wear clips for my road bike. Not there yet for BMX. Yeah, cool. Jean-Philippe, thank you so much for showing up. I was offering you a free download, so make sure you email me, info@bmxtraining.com. Last week you donated to the super chat. I didn't forget you. So thank you so much. I decided I'm going to go ahead and match any donations that we get in the super chat, and then we're going to take that money and donate it to a local BMX community. I haven't decided which one yet, but I'll probably start here in San Diego. Let's see if I can find another question that we can discuss. Oh, here's another one from Dylan Magan. Dylan Magan or Dylan Magan. Please forgive me, Dylan, if I didn't pronounce your last name correctly. Let me know if I got it right or wrong. He says, he asked, Coach G, any tips on jumping big and how to control yourself in the air? Any tips on jumping big? Well, I would say this, I would definitely focus on taking a jump that you're really, really comfortable with, a small jump to a medium jump, and practice going big up on that jump, right? Just trying to work on some trajectory, getting a little bit more air than normal. Go slower than normal. Don't hit at normal speed and just yank up and over clear the thing, but get used to picking up and catching a little bit more air than normal on a smaller jump. So it's just kind of like one of those, if you will, right? Get used to that. And as far as control, there's a couple things that is going on that I find when I'm jumping bigger jumps. Number one, the one thing that I was always conscious about when it came to bigger jumps is air, right? Like wind, right? Like, is the wind behind me, in front of me? Is it a cross wind? Is it a cross tail? Is it a straight cross wind, right? Is it going left to right? Okay. So definitely make sure that the wind is favorable if you're practicing bigger jumps. Okay. Definitely do that. The other thing is you want to make sure you have enough speed. Okay. And when you're taking off, you want to make sure you have enough lift. And when you take off, the idea is to simply look for the backside, and visually and kinesthetically, you want to make sure that you land front and rear wheel, kind of like simultaneously, right? A little bit front wheel before the back wheel. If you learn back wheel, that's okay. I mean, that happens from time to time, and that's okay. But definitely you want to try to get used to that front wheel, back wheel. Boom, boom, right? But yeah, I would say, you definitely want to kind of keep the core, the torso, the core, right? The core is going to be that stomach area, a little bit taut, not over tight. And then you want to keep your limbs kind of nice and loose. Okay. The moment you lock out your elbows, you're going to be in trouble. All right, both from a fore and aft cockpit position, meaning that if you lock it out, you get locked out and you're coming down the backside back wheel, you might land back wheel and loop out. You don't want to do that. So you want to keep everything loose. So literally say the word, loose and fluid and smooth, right? I literally, when I deal with riders that have emotional and mental issues with crashing over big jumps, especially younger women that are juniors that are moving into the World Cup level of racing, supercross tracks, a lot of them have experienced issues with bigger jumps, and it's just a fear of crashing. And one of the things that I deal with all the time is just getting them to work on their positive self-talk. So emotionally, I always work on them getting into the correct mental mind state, and everyone's different, but for the most part, when it comes to jumping, it's all about some of my athletes are like, I'm happy, having fun, and smooth, right? Happy, fun, and smooth. They literally anchor themselves, trigger themselves into that state, and then they go ahead and attack the section, right? And they attack the big jump. So it's a mind state thing. If you go into a jump and you're thinking, oh man, I just don't want to crash. Listen, the unconscious mind doesn't understand negative goals. It's gonna find a way to crash. Trust me, man. So you want to focus and have positive goals as to what the end result's going to be, which is, hey, I want to land smooth, I want to land efficient, and that's it, man. Smooth and efficient, or smooth and fluid. So it comes down to literally having that visual, auditory, kinesthetic, right? The visual, what you see. Auditory, what you hear, what's your self-talk. Kinesthetic, how are you feeling? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic in terms of configuring a mental mind state that works for you when it comes to jumping. Bigger jumping is no different than smaller jumping, so it's going to be the same mindset. Okay, so mind state rather, but you want to work on your mind state on the smaller jumps, know what your mind state is, and keep working on progressing towards bigger jumps. And again, I would also take that, again, that small to medium jump that you're really used to, and just work on catching a little bit more air than normal. Go a little bit slower and pick up on it a little bit more, and have a little bit more fun of catching a little bit more air. And again, being a little bit fluid and smooth and flexible in the air, because that's important. You never know when you need to make a correction, right? Whether it's whoa, I just caught some air and the front end's up and I can't get it back down, or you take off on the jump and you're doing this one. You're just like, whoa. You don't want to get locked out and land that way either. You got to be able to correct the bike and bring the bike back in the correct position for you to land safely. All right, guys. Hey, I am so grateful for being here and hosting this awesome community over at BMX Training, our channel. Also, if you guys get a chance, check out the website, bmxtraining.com. I have a membership in there. A lot of the stuff that we talk about, I go in depth in over there. I'm also reconfiguring our store right now. It's not live just yet, but I'm going to have awesome courses for you guys to buy and purchase, mini courses a la carte. Working on, I got a Grand's training plan coming up. I also have a 4-week gate start training course coming out. Be on the look for that. What else do I have? I think I have a 12 and under plan that's coming out in the store. Then I'm also going to be offering services both for mental performance. I'm going to be offering coaching for those riders that need to get over fear of crashing, and also gate start coaching. So a lot of cool things coming up on bmxtraining.com. Make sure you guys check that out. I appreciate you guys supporting me over there. And also, I'm so happy for you guys to contribute in our community here and help each other out. One of the reasons why I do this live show is to help you guys thrive, experience your potential, and to sustain it on the BMX track. Listen, our goal is to stretch out the average membership in BMX. Here in America, our average span is roughly around 24 months of an average membership lifetime, and we need to extend that. And I don't even know what it's like in COVID right now. I would say that since racing got put to a halt there for a second, I imagine that quite a few of us probably didn't renew our membership. So make sure you guys get that membership renewed and support our local sanction. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me here today. And I'll see you guys next week, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you guys at the races.